Welcome to Cold Brew Finance's end-of-week World Currencies, Stock Markets and Commodities Deep Dive for Friday, April 25th, 2025. Kicking things off, I'm Victoria Cashmore. In currency markets, the US dollar showed mixed performance. Against the euro, it closed at 0.8784, recording a new one-year low. The British pound declined for a third consecutive week, while the yen rose 1%. Monthly performance shows weakness in the greenback, declining nearly 5% against the euro. Year-to-date returns reveal broader weakness, with the dollar down 9% versus the euro and declining against most major currencies. Long-term performance metrics show the US dollar has struggled, particularly against the Swiss franc, down 13.7% over 3 years. The 10-year view shows modest gains of 20.8% against the yen. Among other currencies, the greenback broke upward against both the Canadian dollar and Singapore dollar after 3 days of flat trading. The yuan maintains a very strong positive trend against the dollar. Monthly returns show notable weakness, with the US dollar down 4.8% against the New Zealand dollar and 3.6% versus the Canadian dollar. The Indian Rupee showed remarkable stability with minimal fluctuation. 10-year returns highlight significant gains for the greenback against the Indian Rupee, up 34%. However, it's shown weakness against the Singapore dollar, being the only major currency showing a decade-long decline.
Looking at global stock market tracking ETFs, I'm Max Profit. Brazil leads with a 6.8% gain to 26.94. Poland and Chile both hit new one-year highs, rising 6.1% and 5.7% respectively. Mexico shows strong upward volatility, gaining 5.4%. Year-to-date returns show Poland leading with a 43.9% gain, followed by Chile at 26.5%. Mexico has gained 23.8%, while Brazil and China show gains of 19.7% and 10.8% respectively. Looking at longer-term performance, Poland stands out with a 76% 3-year total return. Chile and China show positive 1-year returns of 20.4% and 24.9% respectively, though their 10-year performance remains negative. Among underperforming markets, Turkey shows a very strong negative trend with flat price movement. New Zealand and Thailand display mixed negative trends, despite recent modest gains. Norway shows signs of improvement with a very strong positive trend. Year-to-date returns reveal Turkey down 10.9% and Thailand declining 12.1%. New Zealand has lost 3.1%, while Norway shows resilience with an 11.4% gain. India remains relatively flat. 10-year performance shows India as the standout with a 74.7% total return. Turkey and Thailand have declined over 32% and 35% respectively. New Zealand manages a modest 8.6% gain, while Norway remains essentially flat.
Considering commodities, I'm Liquidity. Gold futures reached a new all-time high, closing at 3,330.20, marking its third consecutive weekly gain. Silver futures and copper futures both rose, gaining 1.6% and 2.1% respectively. Aluminum futures advanced 4%, while palladium futures declined 2.5%. Year-to-date returns show gold leading with a 26% gain, followed by silver at 12.9%. Copper has gained 20.2%, while aluminum and palladium both show negative returns for the year. Looking at long-term performance, gold shows impressive gains with a 10-year return of 183.4%, averaging nearly 11% annually. Silver follows with a 111.1% decade return. Copper, aluminum, and palladium show more modest long-term gains. In energy futures, natural gas showed significant weakness, falling 9.4% and marking its fourth consecutive weekly decline. Brent crude and crude oil futures both declined, while gasoline and heating oil futures each gained 1%. Month-to-date performance shows broad weakness in energy markets. Natural gas leads the decline at -28.7%, while Brent and crude oil are both down about 11%. Gasoline has fallen 7.4%, and heating oil shows a 4.6% decline. The 10-year picture shows modest gains across energy futures. Natural gas leads with a 16% return, followed by heating oil at 12.8%. Crude oil gained 10.5%, while Brent remained nearly flat with just a 0.8% return. Live cattle and feeder cattle futures both hit new all-time highs, with remarkable 3-year returns of 52.9% and 70.1% respectively. Lean hogs dropped 5.2%, while Class IIi milk gained 5.1%. In grains, wheat futures declined 3.3%, showing strong downward momentum. Soybean futures rose 1% with increasing volatility. Corn, rough rice, and oat futures showed mixed performance with limited price movement. In grain futures, corn futures and soybean futures showed strength, with soybeans marking 3 consecutive weekly gains amidst upward volatility. Wheat futures fell sharply by 3.3%, while rough rice futures declined 2.3%. Looking at long-term performance, corn futures show a 10-year return of 32.8%, while soybean futures and wheat futures posted modest gains around 8–9%. Oat futures demonstrated the strongest decade performance, up 47.7%. In soft commodities, cocoa surged 13.5%, while coffee futures gained 7%. Cotton futures rose 2.3%, with strong upward volatility. However, orange juice plunged significantly, down 17.4%. Weekly returns show cocoa leading with a 13.6% gain, followed by coffee futures at 7.1%. Orange juice experienced significant losses at -17.4%, while other soft commodities showed modest gains. 10-year performance reveals cocoa up 226%, while coffee futures gained 180%. Orange juice rose 120%, contrasting with cotton futures' modest 3.6% decade return.
And with that, we conclude another end-of-week world currency, markets and commodities episode. I'm Victoria Cashmore, along with my AI co-hosts Max Profit and Liquidity. Thanks for watching. Look for daily wrap-ups every day just after 5 p.m. New York time. Please like, subscribe, comment, share. Cold Brew Finance is an experimental project with market reports written, narrated and delivered totally by AI, with market data kindly provided by financialmodelingprep.com. Always seek professional financial advice before making any investment decisions. Check into the channel daily for coverage of stocks, crypto, currency and commodities. Thanks for watching.